Hello, chemistry students. I wanted to review with you how to do a problem where you need to determine what the limiting reactant is given two different amounts of two different reactants. So what I've given you on this sheet is a balanced chemical equation. And remember that these are all mole-to-mole problems. So even though I gave you the molar masses of these compounds, don't use them for anything because you're not going to need to. So let's get started. If you begin with 4.6 moles of sodium phosphide, and 2.1 moles of water, how many moles of sodium hydroxide can you make? So because I have two different amounts for two different reactants, I'm going to do two different problems. So both of them are going to be mole to mole because here I'm given 4.6 moles of Na3P, and I'm looking for moles of NaOH. So just like in a regular mole-mole problem, and again, this is number one, I'm going to demote my unit. So this becomes moles of Na3P, and I use the coefficient for Na3P that I have in the equation, which is 1. And then on top, I'm going to use the coefficient for NaOH. So that's 3 moles of NaOH. Moles of Na3P go away, and when I multiply this across, I get 13.8 moles of NaOH. All right, but that doesn't really tell me anything. So now I need to do my second mole-mole problem, which I'll do in a different color. So now I have 2.1 moles of water, and I want to know how much sodium hydroxide I can make with that amount. So again, demote my unit, use my coefficient from the equation, which is 3. And so again, I'm looking at my coefficient here in front of water, and then I'm going to put 3 moles of NaOH because that is the coefficient that I have in front of NaOH. Moles of water gets canceled out, and when I multiply across, I get 2.1 times 3 divided by 3, which is 2.1 moles of NaOH. Number 2 says, what's my limiting reactant, Na3P or H2O? Well, when I look at the top here, I can see that when I use 2.1 moles of H2O, I get less sodium hydroxide than if I use 4.6 moles of sodium phosphide. So therefore, my water is my limiting reactant because it gives me less product. My theoretical yield is the amount of product that my limiting reactant gives me. So that's 2.1 moles of NaOH. Finally, for number 4, I'm giving you the actual yield. So the actual yield is what you actually produce in the lab. And I want to know what my percent yield is. Well, in order to find the percent yield, which is PY, I need to use the formula AY for actual yield divided by TY for theoretical yield times 100. And when I do that, I get 1.82 divided by 2.1. Multiply that quotient by 100, and my answer is 86.67%. And that is my percent yield. And that's how you would do a problem where you need to find the limiting reactant and then use your calculations to answer some questions about what it means. That's all. Study well. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.